Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams apologizing for that picture in that schoolroom. This as a number of other states, Democratic-run states, are deciding to leave mask mandates, including New York and Illinois. Let's bring in our panel. Byron York, chief political correspondent of the Washington Examiner. Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Trey Gowdy, former congressman from South Carolina. Trey, it seems like Stacey Abrams, just as an example there, realizes the politics of the moment. And even though her first statement said that it was a Republican opponent's attack on her, that was an apology.
Yeah, Brett, I mean, I saw it a little bit differently. I think she was just taking her mask off so we could hear her better when she finally conceded the 2018 Georgia gubernatorial race, which I don't think she's done. Yeah. It's what, example, like 1 million of not just Democrat politicians, but politicians in general not living by the rules that they set for the rest of us.
Leslie, do you see it changing? Do you see the tide changing despite the CDC guidance today sticking to this?
Yes, I mean, you certainly see it in the state I'm in, California. You see Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York. Illinois is soon to follow, supposedly Delaware. These are Democratic governors. These are blue states. But, you know, we have to remember that regardless of what a governor has said, and we've seen this in Virginia, we've seen it in Florida as well, where you don't have Democratic governors, school districts seem to make their own decisions. And what I've seen here in my state of California, where I have a 13 and 14-year-old in school, just came home from school and have to wear a mask. It is up to the individual school districts, and people have been following the science. But I do think, because they're looking at these reports, one out of Johns Hopkins and some others that come out with the, regard to social distancing or to masks, they're trying now to get ahead of the science, or at least those like the CDC that they look to for that scientific explanation and recommendation.
Byron, the politics here is obviously interesting on this issue. The politics to the north of us in Canada really picking up as these trucker protests continue to grow on vaccination mandates. Republican former advisor to John McCain, Steve Schmidt, said this is an insurrection and blamed GOP politics here. Take a listen.
This movement possesses all of the markers that any expert on the field would require to say that, yes, this is an autocratic movement. It's metastasized north of the border, and you have an insurrection underway in the capital of a very important country, our neighbor to the north, Canada.
What do you think of that?
Well, as far as Steve Schmidt is concerned, I think he puts everything into his sort of Donald Trump insurrection framework. To tell you the truth, I think he's called me a fascist before, so I don't really take that very seriously. But what I think we're seeing, he did, what we're seeing here is the country is moving on from the Biden White House as far as the coronavirus is concerned. Leslie mentioned all of those states that have moved on, and today at the White House, the spokeswoman, Jen Psaki, was asked several times, is the White House falling behind the rest of the country as far as guidance is concerned? And she, of course, didn't say that, but their answer suggested that indeed it is, because she said, quote, our guidance consistently has been when you are in a high transmission area, which is everywhere in the country, you should wear a mask in indoor settings, including schools. So we're seeing a divergence between the administration position and the rest of the country on masking.
Meantime, there's a divergence, Trey, on stock trading and concern about insider trading that really has gone on for a long time on Capitol Hill. This is part of an investigation by 60 Minutes back in 2011. Take a listen.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her husband have participated in at least 8 IPOs. One of those came in 2008 from Visa, just as a troublesome piece of legislation that would have hurt credit card companies began making its way through the House. Undisturbed by a potential conflict of interest, the Pelosi's purchased 5,000 shares of Visa at the initial price of $44. 2 days later, it was trading at $64. The credit card legislation never made it to the floor of the House.
And here's the House Speaker today about this.
It has to be government-wide. The court system, the third branch of government, the judiciary, has no reporting. In the executive branch, when they when they divest of their stock, they don't pay capital gains.
Maybe the Democrats are starting to realize here that it looks pretty bad when the leader of their party in Congress is out there trading millions of dollars and doing it, I mean, on essentially government time. And it doesn't matter whether it's her or her husband. They're a team.
Trey, what do you think?
It doesn't have to be government-wide. She could put a bill in the Rules Committee tonight, and they could vote on it before the end of the week. I think public service should be sacrificial. I mean, you know the rules when you sign up. There are things lots of people can't do if they do certain jobs. So I have zero. Look, I was lucky. I may have been the poorest member of the House. I didn't have to worry about stocks. I just had to worry about bill collectors. But if she really, really wants to put an end to this, put the bill on the floor of the House before the end of the week.
Leslie, should it include spouses?
Well, the spouses are not elected to office, so honestly, I have a problem with that. Then, do we extend it to children as well? I mean, how far do we go? I think that's a slippery slope. But I do agree with Trey. This is scary, Trey. I think it's like 3 times in a row now that we've been on TV together, that this is public service. And the people that you are servicing and representing, your constituents, overwhelming majority of them are not wealthy, are not trading stocks. And also, social media is a big reason for this, because on social media, you could see who was trading what, or some people would say who was being owned or bought by whom. So, and this is not just Democrats. When you have progressives on the left and MAGA, Trump supporters on the right coming together and agreeing on something, I think both sides see, look, this is more than bipartisan, and this is what the American people want as well. Needs to be done.
Yeah, it's about 70% in the polls. By the way, 55 members of Congress, according to Business Insider, have violated the law designed to stop insider trading and prevent conflicts of interest. Byron, this could be a heavy lift.
Yeah, it was a big progressive cause. Pelosi shot it down in December. She doesn't sound very enthusiastic about it now. And as a matter of fact, I think some of the progressives believe she's saying, well, let's include the Supreme Court. Let's include all this other stuff to make it so big that nothing actually gets done.
All right, panel. Thank you as always.